Choose life. Choose a sport. Choose a drop zone. Choose a start time. Choose a fucking big jump plane. Choose turbine engines, speed, unlimited altitude, and endless horizons. Choose height, no low turns, and travel insurance. Choose jump tickets. Choose tiny action cameras. Choose your mates. Choose a rig and matching helmet. Choose swoop shorts and a range of fucking fabrics. Choose 120 vertical speed and wondering who the fuck you are on a Sunday morning. Choose sitting on that couch, watching debriefs, spirit-saving slow-mos, smashing beers after last load. Choose standing on the podium at the end of it all. Choose a wing you'll love every time. And the reasons? There are no reasons. Who needs reasons when you fly NZ Aerosports?
Of course, I absolutely love the NZ Aerosports business model. I mean, come on. One glance at an Icarus fuck yeah sticker and you know it lines up perfectly with the fucking pilot mentality. But outside their wonderful use of colorful language and a great company vibe, there's a long list of reasons to say NZ Aerosports, fuck yeah. NZ Aerosports blows me away right out of the gate as a canopy manufacturer with a bold offer. They give you 10 jumps on your brand new nylon to decide if you want to keep it, swap it out, or even return it for a refund. I mean, seriously, how incredible is that? That's like getting halfway through a prom and deciding you prefer the slightly racier date that goes down faster. Seriously, they do that. If you're not madly in love with your new canopy after 10 jumps, they'll let you swap it out for another size or model, or even get your money back. And the range of canopies they've got? Man, they've got a style canopy to fit every jumper and every situation with models you know and trust, like the Sapphire 3, the perfect choice for the beginner or intermediate canopy pilot. The Crossfire 3, when you're ready to kick it up that elliptical notch. The JFX 2, if you're looking to up your new swoop game. The Leia as the workhorse and dirtwater dirt beast, or the Petra. The Petra cranks out crazy power and is nothing short of a record breaker. But hey, it's not always about speed either. Take the Kraken. Built as a low pack volume canopy specifically with wingsuiting in mind, she gives you all the performance you're looking for with the reliability you need that'll have you itching for that next formation, rodeo, or puffy cloud. So the equipment is top of the line kick-ass stuff as you already know, but how about the team? Well, the customer service gang is there to sort you out whenever you need them. Maddie and Beto are always there to help with Jen holding the reins. They're available for you at sales@nzaerosports.com, and they've got a kick-ass live chat tool on the website if you're wanting to hit someone up right away. These are the crew you're going to want to talk to get those custom orders in. With the stock nylon, once you know what you want, they'll have that shit on a FedEx truck as soon as the credit card machine says approved and get you in the air in no time. For your custom orders, you'll be able to get a time frame for building and shipping when you design it, so get to it. And demos. They've got demos in the US available from their partner Rock Sky Market. The whole US demo fleet is there with Sapphire 3, Crossfire 3, Kraken, JFX2, and Leia canopies in a range of sizes. They also offer student and tandem demos in the US. Bottom line, every step of the way, NZ Aerosports is there to get you what you need, and I personally couldn't be happier to be teamed up with them here on Lunatic Fringe. And now, time to get started with Lunatic Fringe Into the Void, brought to you proudly by NZ Aerosports. Fuck yeah.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go! Back in the can for another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void, and holy shit, are we taking a way back time machine for this one. I don't even know where to get started. Let's just dive in. Who the fuck are you, and what do you do?
Well, my name is Sammy Vassilev, a.k.a. Pop-Off. I'm a professional skydiver, cinematographer, photographer, and father, husband, all-around janitor, drop zone owner. You know, you name it. All that good stuff that keeps the drop zone going.
Yeah, man, you're a busy guy. There's no doubt about that. Now, let me see if I've got my memory correct. Did you not do your first skydive in the womb?
You have a very good memory. That is correct. Yes.
Your mother was a champion, wasn't she?
Yes, she was a 1972 world champion, style and accuracy, with the Bulgarian national team. And basically, my first 277 jumps were done in her womb.
If that's not a record, it's got to be damn close.
That's what she says. So I'm gonna trust her on that one. She kept jumping until she was 6 months pregnant.
So basically, you had your D license before you were born.
You could say that, yeah. Back in the old days when the D license was 200 jumps.
200 jumps, yeah. Oh, that's fantastic, man. That's I remember. I don't know why that stuck out in my memory, but I've told that story many times that I had a buddy that was a skydiver before he was even born. So that just stuck with me all these years. So now you said drop zone owner, and I want to get into that for sure. But you and I have known each other for a long time now. We became friends and started jumping and working together 25 years ago.
25 years ago, that's right. That's a quarter century, my friend.
I know. And I know this so specifically because I just hit my 25-year anniversary in skydiving a couple of months back, which is just insane. And at that time, when I met you, you were jumping in Las Vegas and working in the wind tunnel. But how did you get started in skydiving?
Well, after I was born, I grew up on a drop zone. Both of my parents are skydivers, mother and a father. So I grew up on a drop zone, in Eastern Europe, in Bulgaria. And that's all I knew. So every summer we'd be at training. My mother would training and competitions. And I did nothing but have a good time at the drop zone. And that's all I wanted to do. I knew exactly what I wanted to be when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
And I was a professional skydiver. That was it.
Well, so you started out the whole package. I'm assuming you were a packing weight as an infant, and then you were the packer as a kid.
You better believe that.
Right? Well, especially if you've got a mom that was a world champion at the time, I guarantee she had you put to work real soon.
Well, that started very early, that's for sure. So, it was just an experience, and I couldn't wait to start jumping. Of course, jumping in Eastern Europe was quite a bit different than it was here. We had to go through an entire winter of training. It was every Wednesday at 7 p.m. at one of the clubs. Once a week we would do ground school for 3 months. And out of the 50 people that signed up for the class, only about 14 of us jumped in the spring. Yeah. And then we went to the drop zone, and of course weather comes in, and then of course that was a time when the wall fell. So you can imagine all the trauma and all the riots and everything that was happening in Eastern Europe. Sure. So I actually didn't get to jump until November of that same year, which was 1989.
Okay.
So I waited almost a year to make my first jump.
And that was in Bulgaria?
I was in Bulgaria, that's right, yeah.
Wow, so you started your career there, but now it's difficult to rack up jump numbers in that kind of environment, wasn't it? I mean, it took a while.
Oh, it was impossible.
Yeah.
It was, the country wanting to hiatus, and there was no money. And of course, skydiving was government sponsored at the time because we were under the jurisdiction of the Army. We were considered an additional squadron, civilian squadron to the Army. So once the wall came down, once the communists lost power and, the economy dived, there was just no money for anything. So I made about 40 jumps that year, and then I came to the United States. And, of course, different challenges presented.
Now, how did moving to the United States come about?
I grew up with the American dream. I was pretty much, my mother became a world champion in 1972 at the 11th World Parachuting Championships, which were held in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And so that was, she fell in love with America that year, and pretty much since the day that I was born, I was, how should I say, I was energized with the American dream,
Sure.
And nothing more I wanted to do than come to America and, the land of opportunity, the hardworking people. The harder you work, the further you go, and that's what I did.
Well, you were always the hardest working. I never considered you from anywhere but the States. You were just an American with a funny accent to me, because you were everything American. You're super hardworking and driven and creative and all this stuff, and you kind of made a lot of Americans look fucking lazy.
Oh, come on, man. I wasn't intentional. So I just did what I had to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No,
You
absolutely.
know, and it was, I wanted to fit in because coming from a Eastern European country under communism rule and all that, I just, to me, it was a shock.
Sure.
So I knew nothing about the American lifestyle and what I needed to do. So I figured if I just shut up and work, and do my thing, I would probably fit in a little better. And it took me some years to adjust myself to everything. I didn't have anybody to guide me.
Sure.
My mom didn't really know much about it. She was just another hardworking lady trying to feed a family in Chicago. And so I had to figure out a lot of things on my own and adjust accordingly. And sometimes I'd make a mistake, in my communications with some of the folks, and including with you sometimes, with
Sure.
butt heads here and there.
Oh, yeah.
But it was nothing intentional. It was because the way we communicated was just a little different.
Sure.
And people took me for an arrogant asshole,
Well, and I mean, let's face it, skydivers are such alpha personalities. We're naturally going to assume that you're just being an asshole because you're a skydiver. It's got to be something going on. And then we figure
That's
out
right.
later on, oh, maybe it's not how he meant it.
That's exactly what it was. And it took a lot of years, for a lot of folks to figure that out.
Sure. Well, now, when did skydiving kick in hardcore for you in the States? Because I know you moved originally to Chicago, yeah?
Nope. I came to America with a very interesting story.
Okay.
I tried to escape Bulgaria before the wall came down in 1988.
Okay.
And I got caught on the border, and I ended up spending some time in a juvenile camp.
Oh, wow.
And then I was supposed to go to the military, because now I was a traitor of the Communist Party regime and all that stuff. So they punish you by sending you to the military early, because military was mandatory.
Sure.
Well, in between, I always looked for ways to escape the country, just like a lot of Eastern Europeans did, because none of us wanted to serve the communists. None of us wanted to be part of that regime. None of us liked it.
Right.
So an opportunity came through. We found an article in a newspaper about a future farmers of America.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So I sent my information in, not expecting anything that's going to happen, and send in my passport. And about 6 months later, I got accepted in the program. I was released from the juvenile camp to do a couple of things to prep for the military, and I took that opportunity and split.
You were in the future farmers of America.
Correct.
How did I not know this story? Because I would have given you so much shit.
I'm going to tell you something that a lot of you, and including you, Mary, Danny, none of my closest friends know. Mary knew. But these were things that I had to keep very quiet.
Sure.
Because at that time, I was an illegal immigrant.
Awesome.
In America.
Awesome.
So everybody was wanting to compete and go to the nationals and the world meets, and yet I was a prisoner in the United States because I couldn't leave the country. I'll leave the country, I'm not coming back.
Right.
So there was all these little details that I had to keep quiet, but at the same time, I had to work. I had to make sure that I am an American.
Sure.
And nobody would ever think otherwise.
Now, is that why it was Sammy Popov?
No, that was my original name.
Okay.
But I took my stepfather's name to honor him because I grew up with him.
Very cool.
That's the only reason I changed it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and it was just my biological father is someone I haven't seen in close to 15 years, and before that another 15 years. So I don't really have any relationship with that man.
Okay, fair enough. I just wondered if that was your way of staying under the radar when you were in the States.
No, when I came to America, I came with that program, Future Farmers of America, and I was 3 weeks late because there was a group that came. I'm sorry, I was 3 weeks early.
Ah, okay.
So I originally entered the country because I had to get out as quick as possible out of Bulgaria.
Sure.
And then I ended up in Chicago. And then from there, when the time came, I had to go to Washington, D.C. and found the building, found the people. I went in there and pretty much put my hands up and said, I am an immigrant, you know. So we started telling our stories, and of course at that time my English was zero. I mean, I don't even know how I was able to explain to these people what I want to do.
Right.
And I started going back into these skydiving times about my mother and the American dream and stuff like that. I was originally supposed to go to Michigan, family out there.
Okay.
But when I told them about Tahlequah, Oklahoma, one of the kids was supposed to go to this little town called Bixby, which is literally 20 miles from Tahlequah. And they said, hey, do you want to go to Bixby instead of Michigan? I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Because to me, that was very spiritual. It was something that I knew. So they sent me to Bixby, Oklahoma, which was 20 miles from, Tahlequah, where my mother was a world champion,
That's
so I
wild.
felt home naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I ended up spending about 2 years there. I was a cowboy. I rode bulls. I neutered pigs. I shoveled manure, and I went to high school.
Nice.
And that's where I graduated high school, Bixby, Oklahoma.
That's wild. That's so cool.
Yeah.
This is a lot of the stuff that I didn't know, and so it's fun so many years later to hear these stories.
That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, so now, where did the skydiving come into all this? Because obviously it's something you wanted to do, but skydiving even then is a tough achievement when you're just a kid trying to make it through high school and stuff, and no money, and got to be tough.
Well, I started skydiving again in Skydive, Oklahoma, with some of the local clubs out there. But of course, at the time I was the training I had in Bulgaria was completely different than the training here. So I pretty much had to go through another training to make sure that I fit everything that is required and meet the requirements, and they wanted to understand my knowledge. So I started skydiving there, and then I did a jump with my mom in Skydive in Oklahoma.
That's epic.
That was pretty awesome. Yeah. From there, I went to Chicago, and I went to college. I went to Northwestern. I graduated with a associate's degree in hotel casino management, and then from there, I just didn't like Chicago, man. It was just like bad. I tried to jump in Chicago at the time, but for some reason, it just didn't work out for me. We were broke. I went to the World Free Fall Convention in 1993.
Wow.
That was my first experience. And as much as I wanted to get involved, it was just not happening.
Sure.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm in hotel casino management. Where am I going to go? I'm going to go to Vegas. But I've always wanted to be, to be involved in film. And what you don't know is that alongside my skydiving, I've always been a photographer and cinematographer from an age of 8. And I started really going to school for photography and cinematography in Bulgaria. But when we came here, it didn't work out.
Right.
So I moved to Vegas to go to school to UNLV. I signed up for a hotel program, and that's what my mother wanted me to do. But inside, I was here for the film and cinematography school.
Nice.
Yeah, so she had no idea that I actually went to school for cinematography.
Yeah. I love it.
And I drove on the 15, and when you go over the apex and you see the whole city right there, and it's that beautiful view. And I drove in, and it was late night. I parked my car right there, and I slept. It was like midnight. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take care of business tomorrow.
Right.
And the first thing I did the next morning was I wanted to see what the skydivers were. And the first brochure I picked was Michael Hawks' Skydive Las Vegas.
Yep.
But this was the very beginning of Skydive Las Vegas. That's before you even know it. That was when we were still back in the trailer.
Yeah.
That hangar wasn't built.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where is that? I drove to Boulder City. I walk in there. I'm saying, hi, I'm Sammy. I'm from Bulgaria. I'm a skydiver. I want to, jump. And first thing he says, kid, you know how to pack parachutes? I say, yes, sir. I had never packed a tandem in my life.
Oh, no.
I've never packed a parachute like that in my life.
Right.
Because, again, I come from a different place, different equipment. But I was so cocky and so confident because I needed a job. I was like, yes, I can pack this. So I watched him very good how to do it. And then he goes, your turn. So, of course, I messed up a couple times. He sits down next to me and goes, "You've never packed a parachute in your life, have you?" I said, "No, Michael, I have. I've packed different parachutes. I want to learn how to pack this, and I will be your packer for a while." And that's where my skydiving career started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was what year?
It was in 94.
94. Okay, so it was 2 years later that I went out and made my first jump at Skydive Las Vegas, and then shortly, and by that time you were working at Flyaway, weren't you?
I was. Yeah, we so I was working at the drop zone, but it wasn't enough money, so I needed something else. And when I heard about the wind tunnel, I was like, you know what? This is the perfect place for me to become the best I can be.
Yep.
Because I can get the training, all the training I can get in an environment that is safe, that will provide me with everything that I could possibly do. And I was trying to figure out how to do this.
Right.
So I walked in and I met Gary. And I said, "Gary, I'm Sammy. I'm a skydiver. I want a job." And he goes, "You got a job?" And that was that. And he goes, "Are you legal?" Because I have an accent, and he goes, "Are you legal to work in the United States?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a U.S. citizen." But the reality of the situation was I wasn't. I was an illegal immigrant, and my visa had expired because I had stopped school. So you asked me for the paperwork at that time. And in early days of Photoshop, I took my visa, that was on a piece of paper. I scanned it, and I changed the dates on it. And I went in there and said, "Hey, here's the visa, man. No problem,
All right.
And that's how I got my job there, man. And then that was before the tunnel opened. The whole chamber was full of garbage, so we cleaned it out. We built all the deflectors. We made sure that it's ready to go, and then we opened it in September of 95. Yeah.
Which is when you and I would have met, because I was there within the first 2 weeks of its opening.
Correct.
That's where we met. Yeah, man. And it was the day that I went, it was super slow, and it was Robert Ogle was my instructor, and he had me hooked because I ran across the street in the suit, still in the fucking suit, to get more money so I could come back in and fly again. And he was the one that hooked me with "You're a natural, you should go jump" bullshit line that I'm sure he gave to everybody. And next thing you know, I'm spending every dime I've got in the tunnel and then trying to go out and jump. And of course, that's when you and I met. And I think Mary was already working there. Mary Tortomasi was already working in the tunnel.
Yep.
And
it was Mary, Rob, Keith.
Yep, and that was the beginning of a pretty wild 25 years for me, anyway.
Yeah. When you and I became friends, I remember leaving the back door open so you can sneak in the classes. Remember that?
Damn right. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'll sneak you in every time I could, man.
Yep. I know. I got to fly a whole lot in that tunnel. There's no doubt. Well, and it was funny because in that tunnel, a lot of different things happened. You were already shooting video. You were an established camera flyer at the time. And I had a little bit of experience shooting a video with Kevin Love's camera helmet. And I decided, all right, it's time. I got to, build a system. And I came to you and I'm like, what should I get? Yep. And I still, to this day, I wish I'd have brought it into the studio with me. I still have my Pararaptor helmet, still painted, the plate still on, the rocker switch that you were the one that created. And for anybody out there, it was the coolest fucking still camera system ever. It was a rocker switch like you would use for a light switch. And you put it on the front of the Pararaptor and you just pushed your lip out to click that switch. And you wired it through with a telephone plug. That's right. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It was the best system ever. And that's the only camera I ever shot video with. The thousands of jumps that I did with that damn thing, and all the different cameras that went on that. But that very first one, you helped me set up the whole 9 yards. There we go. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm happy to do so. I still have mine too. My original helmet is still here. Yeah, man. I'll be buried with that fucking thing. Man. Yeah. Although it's funny because before the podcast we were talking about my recovery for the surgery. I can blame that helmet as well as thank it because it's the reason that my neck is fucked. We did jump heavy equipment, that's for sure. Oh my God, man. Yeah, we did. I mean, we started out on the high 8 days, you know. I mean, this is when you had to gaff tape everything because you'd get the tape flutter, and we were shooting. I was shooting a Canon Elan with a massive lens on the front. I mean,
that's right.
The fact that both you and I are sitting up straight is crazy.
Yep. I mean, it's these lenses were heavy. The Elan was heavy. I mean, by just the steel setup was about 4 pounds.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, and you had the same experience as I did. The fact that we didn't rip our heads off all those years jumping that stuff. I remember when Michael Hawks tried to institute a rule that you had to wear neck braces, and nobody wanted to wear them because we thought we were bulletproof. And here I am at 52.
Well, you know, this man was something else, man. A lot of people didn't see his vision, but he keeps coming up in a lot of conversations, and he's, you know, he was 20 years ahead of his time. I'll be honest with you.
You know, I'll tell you what, and this will be there's going to be a few listeners that'll be shocked because there's nobody out there that doesn't know I'm not a fan of Michael Hawks, but I will say this. He built an incredible drop zone and a money-making machine like I've never seen. I mean, you remember shooting video. I was third-string cameraman when I started shooting video out there, and I would forget to cash my paychecks because I was making so much in tips.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
It was insane, you know, and I don't think there's anybody, like him or hate him, that would disagree that drop zone was just a machine.
Well, not only this, but, you know, he had a vision that was very different at the time, and a lot of people misunderstood him. You know, I've never had a problem with Michael Hawks. Never, ever. You know, we had a couple of, you know, crossings here and there, but I've always respected him for his business. If that's what you want to do, that's what I want to do, and he treated me very well because of it. You know, but I've learned being part of that drop zone, and then you know, working with Roger Nelson, because after I left Skydive Las Vegas, I went to Skydive Chicago, and working with Roger, that was, you know, two of the biggest visionaries in the industry, I would say. You know?
For sure.
Yeah,
I mean, Nelson.
And now,
go ahead.
Now as a drop zone owner, you know, I often go back to some of the samples that these people set for me and go, no, we can't cut corners on this. You can't do this. You can't do that. And there is a reason for it.
Sure.
And they were right and we were wrong. We were young and stupid and dumb and with a lot of testosterone in the balls and a strong dick. And, you know, we thought that those guys don't know their shit while they knew a lot better than we did.
Sure. No, I mean, believe me, there was a lot of ego running around when we were younger. There's no doubt about that. And especially somebody like Roger Nelson that was breaking all the rules in his time. I just had Melissa on just a couple of weeks back, and her father having just been put in the Hall of Fame. So she got to kind of brag on him a little bit, but he was kind of this larger-than-life rock star, cocaine cowboy hero type that, you know, you kind of looked up to that kind of crazy, you know, attitude towards skydiving. But right. When you get rid of all that shit, the guy had amazing ideas. I mean, he put together, I mean, what is arguably the biggest, best drop zone on the planet. Pretty much. Yeah. And his,
no doubt about it.
Oh yeah. And his son has gone on to make it an even bigger, even better drop zone.
That's right. Yeah. Rook's definitely, doing fantastic, man. I mean, he's got his father's visions and energy in him. You know, it's definitely a different ball game.
Yeah, for sure. Now, jumping back to the tunnel, I'll never forget this. For anybody that doesn't know, Vegas was the first big public tunnel in the States. There were no iFlies. There was no wall-to-wall air glass tubes, except for the military one, I think. It was Pigeon Forge. Fort Bragg, yeah. It was Pigeon Forge and Vegas. That was it. And Vegas didn't have enough power to do two things. You couldn't free fly, and you couldn't really fly the board, although you guys did great training standing up, but the vertical stuff you couldn't do. So you came up with a brilliant idea that now people would laugh at because obviously you got a tunnel with 180 miles an hour wind, but you hooked up the gymnastics harnesses so that you could go in, put this gymnastics rig on, and you could fly vertical on the board. What in the world were you thinking when you came up with that idea?
Well, I didn't have enough money to make 7 to 10 jumps a day.
Right.
I wasn't a sponsored athlete at the time, but I wanted to compete, and Patrick was my inspiration. As a matter of fact, to this day, I have Patrick's card right here in my office.
Awesome.
With his Reebok. He was my idol in skydiving, and I wanted to do nothing but sky surfing. But again, as an illegal immigrant, I was so limited to what I can do. So I utilized everything that was available in a way that wouldn't be suspicious. And I was like, well, there's a perfect tool here, the wind tunnel. If I can't do 7 jumps a day, I'm going to train indoors.
Yeah. And
realizing the limitations of that wind tunnel, I had to do something to overcome those.
Sure.
So I spent a lot of time sitting, at night drinking beer and doing some drawings. And then at the same time, I was a huge part of my training was gymnastics. And I was going to this gymnastics gym to basically work on my body position, on how the axles work and all that stuff. And I was working with that gymnastics harness. And I look at it and I said, if I can connect that gymnastics harness in the wind tunnel and then have a device that lifts me up a little bit, which is, remember how we used to pull it and connect it on the opposite end?
Yeah, man.
Yep. Then I would be able to do all my vertical stuff and all my flips, and I can perfect them. I can figure out how to finesse my stuff, and I could spin there for 10 minutes, you know. And it was absolutely safe because I would never hit the wall.
Sure.
Well,
and so I'm sure you would agree too in that tunnel, because both you and I flew insane amounts in that tunnel. I can't even think of how many hours you and me and Mary and all this, because we would go on those hour-long staff flights almost every damn day. King of the tunnel, and just fly and fly and fly. But because it was such mushy air, we had to get creative and aggressive and overpower everything, which translated into a lot more knowledge in the sky than we would have had otherwise.
That's right. Yeah, we had to know our perimeter very well, and then you feel it with with your toes when you're coming out. So you had to adjust yourself accordingly so you don't fall out. You know?
Man. That's the thing you're trying to explain, too, because people don't understand in these modern tunnels that in the Vegas and Pigeon Forge tunnel, because of the pads that surround the perimeter of the air, it's an air column that doesn't go to the wall. So you've got about 18 to 20 inches of dead air all around that tunnel, and you'll fall out. And if you're 20 feet up, that's a long fall.
Oh, I can tell you, man. I took one of those on my back.
Oh, yeah.
It hurt.
I busted my nose in that damn tunnel.
To this day, I have a line right down my nose from the bottom line, and I put my head straight through it.
I don't know that I ever put my head through, but I'd seen it done a couple of times. And you got to be flying.
Right here, buddy.
You got to be flying pretty damn aggressively to do that. Now, you were able to segue the training in the tunnel and all that stuff into actually competing, because you were in the 98 Nationals.
Yep.
You competed with Vic.
Not at the Nationals.
Oh, that's right. No. Who was flying for you in the Nationals?
Yeah, that was Steve Werner. Vic had died in May of that year.
Oh, that's right. So, but you did do competitions with Vic, though, didn't you?
We did not, unfortunately.
Oh.
When things kind of took a very interesting path. I started sky surfing, and of course my goal was nothing but the X Games.
Sure.
So at the time, that pretty much the mecca of sky surfing was Paris.
Yeah.
So we would remember when we used to charter a flight, and Jason would fly us on Tuesday because we were off.
Yeah, man. Yep. It was the perfect storm because he was building hours and we were building jumps. That's
right. And then the freaking plane broke, remember, in Paris?
Yep.
And then we couldn't make it back, and we all had to be at work the next day.
Yep, I remember that. There were a few mishaps.
But I started training, and my goal was nothing but the X Games. And my very first teammate was Kevin Love. We competed in '96 and '97 together. And actually, I can't remember who Mary competed, but it wasn't with you. Did you do a Challenge Cup?
Yeah, Mary and I did the Challenge Cup in Paris.
Yeah.
You guys were there too.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we did the Nationals in Elsinore in '98.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So it was with Kevin Love, but Kevin didn't really want to pursue it. He had different agendas and different life paths, as we all know.
Yeah.
Not want to go into that direction. But I had an opportunity to jump with Vic.
Yeah.
And it was my 4th or 5th actual sky surf jump. But I already had probably, I don't know, maybe 100 hours in the wind tunnel or something like that.
Sure.
And we would see all the big shots come into the wind tunnel and couldn't fly, and I'd be controlling for them, and I'd try to tell them, and they would kind of blow me off. Hey, kid, you don't know anything about this,
Right.
So it was me and Mary. We went to Paris, and I'm ready to jump. I mean, I'm like, man, I'm going to jump the board. And I had that was my 101st jump. Yeah. So I go to Damien, and I go, Damien, I'm Sammy, I want to jump the board, and this and that. He goes, kid, how many jumps you got? I said 101. He goes, come back when you have another 500. I said, Damien, I want to show you something, man. Do you have just 1 minute, please? So he goes, what you got for me? So I hopped in a VHS tape in there from me and Mary doing 2 ways and, flying upside down in the wind tunnel. And he was there literally the week prior.
Nice.
And he goes, who's this? That's me. And who's this? That's Mary. You want to jump aboard? I'm like, fuck yeah, I do want to jump aboard, man. Come on. So that's how I did my first jump. And then he told Vic, and Vic goes, well, I want to come and film you. And that's how we met. To this day, we have a picture of that. Of us after the jump.
Wow.
So Vic goes, kid, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. Just give me something and I'll do it. So he gives me a routine on my 3rd jump. And we go out and we bust it. He lands, and his first words were, if I ever continue my sky surfing career as a cameraman, it will be with you.
That's awesome.
These were his words. And then him and Troy became the X Games champions in '97.
Man. Yep.
And that was an incredible competition. And right after that, they were done. Troy didn't want to continue. I believe he had some other, things in life that he wanted to do. I think he was getting a little tired of all the competition. And
sure. Well, and Hollywood was calling him.
Also, it was the MTV show started kicking in, and he had a different direction plan for himself. And but funny thing happened right at that time. Jason Palmer, the pilot that used to fly us to Paris, comes up to me after work at Skydive Las Vegas and goes, hey Sammy, I keep hearing you always want to get sponsored. I think I found a sponsor for you, corporate sponsor. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Come on, man. He goes, no, I'm pretty serious, man. I flew privately these 2 guys. They own this company called the Fisher Space Pen. And they're looking to sponsor an athlete. And I think you're the perfect guy for them. I started laughing. I'm like, Jason, come on, dude. Who's going to sponsor me? I never told him that I'm an illegal immigrant. But at the same time, I'm going, fuck yeah, what an opportunity.
Right.
That same day, we go to Fisher Pen, which is in Boulder City.
Yep.
I meet with the guys and they go, yeah, man, we want to sponsor you. Just let me know how much it's going to cost, all that stuff, just do it right. And we want to do this campaign with all you. And that was right after Vic and Troy had become champions.
Sure.
And the team split. Well, I made a phone call. I said, hey, Vic, he was in Paris and I was in Vegas. And I was like, hey, dude, you need to come to Vegas. He's like, why? I said, dude, just hop in the car right now. Come to Vegas. I got something for you. And he goes, dude, you're not going to waste my time, are you? I said, believe me, man. Hop in the car. Come on over. I got something for you. Take a suit with you. So 4.5 hours later, he's in Vegas. I didn't tell him anything. We went and had a dinner that night, but I had scheduled another appointment because they wanted to meet the team.
Right.
Not just me, but the team. The next morning, so we go in there, and he's antsy. He's like, dude, what the fuck's going on? What are you doing, man? What's happening here? He couldn't believe it. So we walk in there, and we pulled in a $500,000 sponsorship.
I mean, come on. That's amazing.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah. I mean, it was, jumps were covered, canopies were covered, travel was covered. We had a salary, man. $5,000 a month they were paying us and I couldn't believe it. So we walk out of the meeting, and Vic goes, "Kid, I am the champion, and you're getting the sponsorship. How does that work?"
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I had to finish my obligations to Skydive Las Vegas. So that was in August of '97. So we really didn't start anything until January 1st, '98. And that's when we announced that we want to compete. And because of Vic's points, we were on the X Games roster for that year, and we were ranked 5th, basically. So we started heavy training, 5 days a week, 7 jumps a day, pretty serious training on a daily basis, And but we had a couple of days that we wanted to take off Saturday and Sunday just for ourselves.
Sure.
Well, I would go back to Vegas, and I would be working at Michael's place as a cameraman. I would be making a killing, that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I can't pass that up. It's an extra money for me. I'll do it. And I said, hey, Vic, you want to join, the team? And we can do Saturday, Sunday there. We can train in Paris the rest of the week. And you can make some extra money. Your family's in Vegas, And then he was like, yeah, sure. So we did that for about a month and a half. And then right before his accident. Then we had that Wheelie guy. You remember Wheelie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was married to, forgot her name. Not Ursula, old lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, he one day says, I got a birthday tomorrow, But he lied, he didn't. So he kind of wanted to draw some attention to himself.
Sure.
And the funny thing is, it was a Saturday evening, May 9th. And so we sit at the drop zone, and he's telling us we have a birthday and this and that. And Vic and I had scheduled to go to the wind tunnel to test the wingsuit that I built that night. And of course, Gary was like, yeah, Sammy, come on in. So we tied me to the wall on the harness and all that stuff. But before we went there, Vic and I were thinking, hey, man, what are we going to do to this guy for the birthday party? Because the idea was to build an 8-way. One camera is going to be from the top, one from the bottom, shooting the 8-way. And we went to get a big black dildo to hit Will in the head with it.
Yep. Yep.
So Vic and I went, got the dildo, went to the wind tunnel, did our testing, and we spent about an hour and a half there testing the wingsuit. And right inside the chamber, Vic goes, Sammy, I want to tell you something, man, because this is in the dawn of wingsuiting. I mean, I had nobody to show me. I built that wingsuit from scratch. He goes, if it's not butter, don't do it. And it kind of hit me hard. I was like, man, why are you saying this? He goes, well, Rob Harris told me that, and it wasn't butter for him.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
And then the very next morning, we had his accident. I was supposed to be the cameraman on the bottom. He was supposed to be on the top, but another tandem bought a video, and simply because I was in rotation earlier, I exited before he did.
Yeah.
With the tandem, I filmed the whole thing. I watched it. See, it was horrible, watching it. And
yeah, man. I mean, I'll never forget that because I got a telephone call probably, 45 minutes after it had happened. And everybody was devastated because Vic was just he was just a big bear and a sweetheart of a guy, and
just an incredible guy, man.
Yeah.
He was,
which was just fucking devastating to everybody. It was absolutely brutal.
Yes, he was. I mean, it's I was the first one to land next to him, and I held him until pretty much his last breath. And
we've I'll tell you what, man. It's been we've both seen a whole lot of loss over the last 25 years, and I don't know about you, but it never gets any easier for me.
No, it doesn't. You get used to it. You get a little numbed, I guess, here and there.
Yeah, but there's those ones. I mean, you think back about somebody like Vic, or of course, we just recently lost Kevin, who you and I were both very close friends with at one point or another in our lives, and I think we both probably called him best friend at one time or another. And
well, we lived together, man, for 2 years.
And it's still it's this bitter thing. It just and it grabs you in the strangest ways, because you're right. We do get numb to it to some degree, but then the weirdest things will set it off, and you'll just go back into this deep melancholy. I mean, I know I do.
You know, Dean, I remember the good parts. We all gonna go there one day. You know, it's just the way it goes. You know, sooner or later it just happens. You know. So having had these people part of our lives is what keeps me smiling and keeps me going. And
I mean,
you know, being able to stay motivated.
When it all boiled down to it, I mean, I only every time I think back of Kevin, I don't think about how he left us. I think about him opening a can of Mountain Dew in free fall, or trying to hang off a rope behind the back of a Cessna. That's the shit that I remember.
Yeah.
You know, or when he got the job as the pirate and he's jumping off the pirate ship at Treasure Island in Vegas. That's the stuff you remember, you know, which makes it very joyful, but it's still, I mean, it gets very bittersweet at times. But I know that Vic, for me, was one of the very first people that I knew, even though he and I were not particularly close. You guys were super close. But he was one of the first people that I knew well that passed away in the sport. So it sticks out in my memory, and always will. It always will. And especially because it was such bizarre circumstances, and the lawsuit and all the shit that happened afterwards and how ugly it got just makes it stand out, right?
You know, that was, I'll tell you what, I haven't told that anybody. You're the first person to ever hear this. But when the family filed the lawsuit, you know, and they sued everybody on the plane, and including me, you know, and at the time I was an illegal immigrant. You know, so the first thing I'm thinking is, oh boy, this shit's getting real. If I get deported, I'm going to prison, because the Communist Party had a 25-year sentence on my head for being a deserter. You know, so I was petrified, dude. So I started really, at that time, kind of really being careful at what I do, how I do it, so I don't draw extra attention to myself, you know. You know, it was really scary. And that lawsuit was absolutely unneeded. You know, I understand their motivations, but, you know, there was, it was just, it went on for 4 years, man. And we all spent a lot of money on it, you know.
Well, and it was heartbreaking because everybody knew, and I've talked about that lawsuit on the podcast before, because I've had Troy on. He was on a while back, and he and I talked about that as well. And the poor family just got aimed in the wrong direction, and they were horrified and upset that their son was gone, and nobody wanted to face the fact that mistakes were made and that responsibility needed to be taken. And who wants to hear when you've got a son that's dead, he signed a waiver and he took responsibility? Nobody wants to hear that, you know.
No.
And they just got steered in the wrong direction, and unfortunately became this horrible, bitter lawsuit that we absolutely had to win. Skydiving had to win that lawsuit, or modern skydiving as we know it wouldn't exist.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. It was a key turning point in skydiving for sure, as far as the legality goes for it. But I was petrified every time I walked in that courtroom. You know, I mean, it was, oh my God, what's next? You know, are we all gonna get, you know, freaking sued for this thing? Are we gonna get guilty for this stuff? What happens afterwards? You know, and in my particular case, I was like, oh my God, I was already imagining, you know, where I was going and what was happening, and it was a tough one, I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, it was just such a weird time for everybody. I mean, the drop zone really was up in the air because the lawsuit, and the people that were working there were all up in the air, and I mean, we all kind of ended up taking different directions from that time forward. I mean, that was my real gut check in the sport was, all right, am I really a skydiver? Because by this time I'm shooting video, and this guy's the world champion camera flyer, and he just died at the drop zone that I jump at every day. Do I really want to do this? And so that was kind of my, all right, fuck, I guess I'm a skydiver, because here I am going back to the drop zone. So that was a pivotal moment for me as well.
I wouldn't say, I knew for a fact that I wouldn't change my mind.
Oh, you were in.
I knew that, you know, it was, I'm in for life, you know, and that's I mean, that's something I've already done for a majority of my life, and to me, it was no turning back. I just had to figure out, what is it that I'm going to do and what choices am I going to make to make sure that I don't make the mistakes that were made, and that was a decision factor for what equipment am I going to use. I never use used equipment. I never buy used equipment. I buy brand new mine. I'm the first one to use it. Stuff like that, just that year for me was devastating because it was the same year that Patrick went as well. And very few people know that. Again, this is probably the first time this has ever been told anywhere. But Patrick used to come to Vegas to test his wingsuit.
That's awesome.
And he was spending a lot of time at Skydive Las Vegas because he was a tandem factory. So he wanted to stay away from praying ice.
Sure.
So that nobody could steal his ideas. So he would come on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And of course, we had some fun jumper base at the time that was coming on the weekends. But he would never come on the weekends. He would fly in with his buddies, do his testing, and then, move away. But that's where he did a lot of his testing. Little that he knew, that he had somebody that was watching very careful. So little that he knew that I was watching very carefully. And I would always ask him, because we were, meeting my idol was absolutely incredible. And he would, I met him years before the wingsuit, and I'll talk to him about sky surfing. And I kid you not, I'm going to reach over. Right here is the card. There it is. It stays right on my desk.
Awesome. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And so little that he knew that I wanted to do this so badly, and I asked him, I said, hey, Patrick, when am I going to jump this wingsuit? And he goes, hey, kid, not yet, man. One of these days. So he went to do the Grand Canyon shoot with Charles Boons, and then Charles got hurt. And that was in March of 2000 and I was in March of 1998, and then on April 19th he had his accident. So that was a devastating year for me, and that's I had already started building the wingsuit, and Danny Kuhn took the photos.
DK.
Building the wingsuit. Yeah.
I mean, you kind of hit on all the different stuff, because you did sky surfing, you did the wingsuit stuff, and then you transitioned into what I'm sure a lot of my listeners know, which is Skydive TV. How the hell did Skydive TV come about? Because I had no idea what was going on, and then one day I'm like, that's fucking Sammy. What is this? Holy shit. Well, in the early stages of digital technology, me, Dean, I've always been a techie guy, trying to, explore opportunities with digital technology and stuff like that. So even years before we started Skydive TV in the early 2000s, when we started watching videos on the internet was cool. So I always wanted to sell my photos when I go to the boogies. So to me, that was kind of the beginning of Skydive TV. And I started by selling photos online. So I would go to, for example, the Quincy, and then I would shoot a roll. I would run to the local lab, develop it, and then that was the beginning ages of when they were scanning the photos on CDs. So I would build a huge, a cardboard with photos, and I would put them behind my shield on my car. I would crack the window and leave envelopes on the outside, and each photo was numbered. So if they wanted to buy a photo, they would write the number, what size they wanted, put the money in there, and slip the envelope into my car. But at the same time, I was also building websites so I can sell my photos online. Well, everybody wants a video. So I started going, how are we going to sell the videos as well? Because that's an avenue that something could work out. So I started experimenting at the time. And then I started shooting some of the, World Free Fall Convention videos and editing them and selling CDs and stuff like that. But that idea didn't really continue until I went to Bulgaria. That's when I started Skydive Bulgaria, my first drop zone.
That's a story of its own, But I met my wife there, and she's a pretty high-end journalist in Bulgaria. We started the drop zone, started experimenting with social media, videos and this and that. But again, we were like, how are we going to be able to produce something that would, really portray the sport? And the only way to do that would be if we work with either USPA, FAI, or some of the event owners, But we didn't want to do a boogie video, another music video. For us, that was useless. There's plenty of those on YouTube. It's not the way to go. So we started experimenting. But again, we kind of hit a snag because the technology wasn't there. It was too cumbersome. It just didn't allow for what we wanted to do. And it didn't matter how efficient and how fast we were. We just couldn't deliver. And the speeds of the internet were not fast enough. I mean, it was just, we could have somebody watch a video, and if it's one person, they can watch it perfectly. But if it's 10 people drawing from the same file, it was stuttering. So the people wouldn't be able to see it. Well, my wife got pregnant, and we ended up coming to Chicago to do the marketing and advertising, for CSC. And we had, as you remember, we were working out of the house at the time. And I'm like, you know what, honey? I love skydiving. You're a journalist, So I went, bought the domain name, started setting up, and I kind of surprised, said, hey, this is what we want to do, Skydive TV. We want to do news. And we started shooting Skydive TV out of the living room in my mother's house.
Awesome.
In Chicago. Yeah. You remember Val, the blonde? At CSC? Yeah. All right. So she was our first host, and that's how it started. And it started in April 15th of 2010 was our first broadcast. And then we figured, hey, we can do this. So we reached out to USPA and we said, listen, guys, we don't want anything. We just want to prove to you that we can cover the Nationals that year. And the Nationals was at Skydive Chicago. So it was weird because here I am, the marketing director for CSC, going to Skydive Chicago to cover the Nationals, with Skydive TV. So I talked to Doug. I said, hey, this is what's going on. So we were pretty professional about it. We put a, pretty nice wall in between, and it all went very, very well. But that was the first time that we realized that, that's possible because of the way we were doing the things and the technology evolved and all that. And by the time we did our first broadcast at the Nationals, we crashed the servers because we had over 1 million viewers and the servers were not set up for it.
Which is awesome.
It was just insane. So we were like, oh my God, this is crazy. How do we do this? And it became an ever-evolving project, which ended up, we didn't realize it, but it's a costly project too. It was, everybody sees us with a small camera and this and that, and oh my God, you're doing this out of the bottom, of your heart. But the amount of money that we put into Skydive TV is significant. And then it evolved to what it is. And of course, it takes, right now, we're a bit of a, how should I say, restructuring, finding a new direction. I'm busy with the drop zone, busier than ever. And we just don't have enough people to work. And then when COVID hit, things kind of changed a little bit for everybody.
Well, I mean, let's face it, the whole entertainment industry, especially when it comes to stuff like skydiving, has taken all kinds of different directions. Because, I mean, when a guy like me can set up my first studio in my spare toilet and have world champions, I bragged about this many times on the show that I got Craig Girard to come sit in a toilet and drink and talk about skydiving with me. It's fucking amazing, and of course now you and I are talking via Skype, and so I've been able to talk to anybody that I have known over the past 25 years. It's instant access, and it just cost me what it took to build the studio, and it's the most basic form because it's audio only. But when you're competing with that kind of stuff, it's pretty difficult to get people's attentions. For me, it's a little bit easier because people just start the podcast on their drive to the drop zone and they don't have to watch, and they just listen, but for you guys, it's so much more intensive with equipment and time and energy. And I mean,
oh my God. Well, let's put it this way. in 2016, we did 14 events.
That's crazy busy.
Okay, so we would in order for us to pull an event flawlessly, we would start the pre-production about 45 days prior to the first day of the event to get all the graphics done. You know, my wife Eva, that's Skydive TV is pretty much her, her brainchild. You know, she does all that stuff, and she works, I mean, night and day to get these things done. And these are things behind the scenes that nobody sees. But we start, 45 days prior to get things done. And we have a team in the U.S. and we have a team in Bulgaria. We have a post-production facility in Bulgaria that does the editing, So it's a global endeavor, and we have to set everything up before. So when we start traveling, we travel with 14 to 16 to 18 Pelican cases, of equipment, and that's nothing but cameras. I stopped taking my skydiving equipment because I wasn't jumping.
Right.
Yeah, 14, 18 Pelican cases, and that's a hassle of its own. And then we have to be at the check-in station at least 4 hours prior because they want to rip the cases apart for batteries and stuff like that. I mean, it was just a logistical travel. It was a nightmare. We'd spend tens of thousands of dollars on plane tickets because of all the extra equipment that we had to carry,
Oh, I bet.
And we get to the drop zone, and I'll tell you what, we would be doing 20, 22-hour days every day for 30 days, man. And that was just brutal, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brutal, man. In the heat, in the sun. I mean, my ears would be burning. It was just an incredible endeavor, and we pulled it off.
Well, and on top of everything, you're not home. You're traveling to do all this, so your comfort level's zero, and you've done it for a long time now. So no wonder running a drop zone for you is more restful.
Well, I've always wanted to be a drop zone owner. I loved it. I loved running Skydive Bulgaria. That was quite an interesting experience. Now, when we came back here, we started Skydive Curiosity, and I love it, man. This is really what I want to do.
Which is fantastic.
And it's time consuming. I love it. I start school, by the way, on the 23rd. I'm going to get my AMP.
Awesome.
So I'm going to work on my own airplanes and all that good stuff. And but it's what I want to do, man. We are a family drop zone. The kids are there. They're growing up in an environment that is healthy. They don't have the iPads and the iPhones in front of them. They're running free, man.
Sure.
And we have a very nice group of people that we've graduated. And since we've opened, we've graduated about 45 students or so, which is
awesome.
Which is decent amount of students, And every day the business is growing and growing and growing, and
well,
I just love it.
So
man.
as we wrap things up, I want you to tell everybody how they find out about the drop zone. Where can they go online? How do they find out about how to book a jump? If they're an up jumper, what do they need to do? Tell them all about how to find you guys.
Well, thanks for the opportunity, Dean. Just go and type in Skydive Curiosity, LasVegas.com or SkydiveCuriosity.com, and all the information is online. We do reservations only for tandems. We don't take walk-ins. We are a low-volume drop zone when it comes to tandems. But, of course, we also charge $125 more than our competitors do. And we're still fully booked, which is amazing.
You can't beat that, man. Now, where are you guys operating out of?
We operate out of the Valley of Fire, Overton Airport. We jump directly over the Valley of Fire and Lake Mead, which is absolutely stunning. The views are incredible. You can see the Grand Canyon, the Virgin River, the lake, Valley of Fire. Vegas is right there on the side. You got to come and check it out yourself, man.
Hell yeah. As a matter of fact, myself and the new wife will be coming to Vegas mid next year.
Well, there we go. Perfect. I'd love to do a jump with you, my friend.
It's been a long damn time, man.
That's right. Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sammy, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to sit down and do this catch-up, but this is not the only one. We're going to have to do this again because I think we only scratched the surface on the stories that you and I have to tell.
I think so, too, but I appreciate you putting me on your podcast, man. You're awesome, dude. Keep doing what you're doing. I love your stuff. I recently discovered your podcast, by the way, and I've heard some of the stories, and I'm like, oh my God.
You were there for them.
Yep, that's right. Yep. But
so those are the ones we got to talk all over. And again, for anybody that's listening, Skydive TV and Skydive Ferocity, that's all, as I know him, Sammy Popov. You got to check both of them out. If you haven't seen Skydive TV, you're missing something. And now you know if you're in the Vegas area, you've got a new drop zone and a great place to go jump.
That's right, man. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dino. We got to put you on Skydive TV and come visit us at Skydive Ferocity.
Perfect, man. Sammy, much love.
Much love, buddy. All right,
Take care, brother.
Take care.
All right, there you go. Another episode of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void in the can. Brought to you, as always, by Fuck Yeah. That's right. Let's hear it. NZ Sports and Icarus. Also brought to you by Pussfoot.com. Pussfoot.com, the Extreme Sports Collective. Brought to you by Summit Parachute Systems, Jarrett Martin, Badass Pilot Rigs, Badass Rigging Courses. And then there's me, as always, the fucking pilot. Fuckingpilot.net, theprincesspilot.com, both go to the same places. You can find the links to all the podcasts as well as both of the books, although I've discovered this podcast is available pretty much wherever the fuck you get your podcasts. Anyway, have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Get on the floor, get on the floor.